Hello there, Site 42 staff, as well as those of you from the greater SCP Foundation community, and welcome to a very special episode of the anomalous broadcast from Site 42. Today we are joined by the director of Keter Labs, the YouTube channel and independent production studio, Zach Olona, and he is going to give us some great news about SCP Containment Breach the movie. But before I let him even speak, you all know, Site 42 regulars, because I was humming the intro tune, our puppy of interest 42, codenamed Charlie, had to come say hello because it is the stream to thank you, right on my tongue. Appreciated, darling thing. The sweetest pumpkin in Site 42 is here. Agent Goose, I am treatless over here, so you're going to have to handle that on your side. But I do hope you'll let me interview Zach. That way we can have a good stream and learn a lot about an SCP movie that could be happening. Sound good? Sounds good. Go, baby, go. And so, Zach, hello.
Hello, Dr. Sherman. Great to be here. An honor to finally be on the stream after watching in the audience for so long.
Très fantastique. So, get yourself started. Tell the Site 42 staff, as well as the greater SCP Foundation community who's joining us here, give them your opening pitch for Containment Breach the movie.
All right, yeah, getting right into it. No problems with that, because we are here to produce a full-length theatrical SCP Foundation movie, hopefully.
Yes.
My name's Zach. I'm the director of the film To Be, and the director of the 10-minute proof of concept short film that we produced in order to sort of enhance the pitch a little bit. And that has had really strong reception so far on our channel. If anyone hasn't checked it out yet, I highly recommend it. And let us know your feedback. But yes, the whole reason why we even produced that film in the first place, the short film, was to sort of make the case for SCP on the big screen. And we've got a good handful of video essays also on our channel that kind of break down the challenges of working with big budget SCP media and cinema and content, and why we haven't seen something like that yet, and how this could, possibly, hopefully, be the moment that sort of breaks the door open for more opportunities to produce higher level SCP content.
It's very important news that you're doing there, because although I can yap about these all day as a streamer and shorts content creator, shorts and streams are only viewed by so many people. The main event video essay is the preferred YouTube format. And so by putting this information into the proper package, you're doing gangbusters and helping the SCP community as well to understand what I've been yelling about all these years. And so I appreciate the help in that matter.
Yeah, I mean, we've been following your channel for years, and it's a very similar impetus for Site 42. So we're very happy to collaborate on this, and a little later we'll maybe make we will make a big announcement as far as that is concerned. So excited to do that.
Yes, I've been hearing there's some talking behind the scenes. There will be a small reveal later, I am told. But going in for the Containment Hazard Assessment team, let me let you know the rules of this chat. First and foremost, we will be taking questions from the chat. Zach, you're going to be joining us for about an hour, I believe. Maybe a little more, maybe a little less. Is that right?
Yeah, as long as we need.
Fantastic. I have got a list of questions of myself, some standard questions. Now, let me give a shout out to a person in the chat who has done some good work in the meantime. YouTuber Flames LBZ has already released an interview with Zach regarding the SCP movie being made. And so a lot of the questions we will be talking about, there will be a little overlap, but it was a very good interview that you should check out at the Flames LBZ YouTube channel later for more intense scripted answers. We're going to be a little loose, a little off the cuff today, of course. But for starters, remember all donations that come in during the stream. I will answer those after the interview with Zach is complete. Now, I do want you to pay attention. While I do appreciate the generosity to Site 42 because I do this for a partial living, I appreciate your assistance in that. Today, we do want to focus on what is pinned in a Site 42 chat, which is the Kickstarter link. Because right now we are trying to fund SCP Containment Breach, the movie. And I guess, first questions first about said movie. Why choose SCP Containment Breach, the game, as your focus as opposed to any other SCP story? What other story did you have in mind for movie before you settled on basing it off the famous game?
Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of reasons, and it was a very difficult decision when we were conceptualizing, this project and what story might make a good feature film. So just the fact that, I grew up with Containment Breach, I was kind of into SCP beforehand, starting like very early after it first got started, but Containment Breach was like the cultural moment where SCP, I feel like, really kind of leveled up in the collective consciousness. So it was the introduction to SCP for a lot of people who have been fans for a decade plus. That sort of that was their introduction. So when we're thinking about this project and kind of trying to bring SCP into a bigger scope and bring it into the conversation in terms of like cinema and feature films, it just seemed kind of like a natural fit for an adaptation of the video game to be sort of the foundational project for getting a feature-length SCP movie off the ground, because it's got the name recognition, obviously all the maybe I don't want to say overused, but all the classic anomalies like 049, 096, every anomaly that's in that game are the fan favorites. They're fan favorites for a reason. And also there's also the angle that it's a video game adaptation, which helps the case when we're talking to industry people in the film industry, because you say that and you say we're adapting a video game that is insanely popular, that perks ears up. So it's another more logistical reason to adapt Containment Breach. But I was telling Flames yesterday that when we were conceptualizing the project, it was between Containment Breach and What Happened to Site 13 for what we were going to adapt. And I really love What Happened to Site 13. It's one of my favorite SCP stories. And I hope that if we're able to pull this off, the next thing that we can do or help someone else do is an adaptation of What Happened to Site 13. And yeah, I mean, really what we're trying to prove here is that, this is possible. So many people with good reason have sort of written off the idea of a full-length theatrical SCP Foundation movie. And it's, like I said, it's reasonable to do that. But we really want to challenge that and try to create a moment where more high-quality, big-budget SCP adaptations can take place.
For context, for those in the chat, What Happened to Site 13 is, of course, SCP-1730, a foundational, that's good, we're going to see that pun a lot today, a foundational action movie-esque SCP, which does lend itself to being made into a film, with Mobile Task Force Tau 5, Samsara, the cyborg Power Rangers of SCP, and so there's a lot to that. That would be a very expensive movie.
Yes.
Next level, it's also very funny you say, oh, being able to pitch this to investors as, oh, it's a adaptation of a video game that benefits us. That's a very different story from 20, 30 years ago. Things have certainly changed over time.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the industry is in a really interesting spot right now with this, the adjacent conversations around SCP, with the Backrooms movie coming out next week, Obsession, a lot of YouTube native filmmakers making the jump to theatrical releases. Resident Evil from Zach Kreger is in the pipeline, and it will be coming out, and people are hyped for that. So yeah, the conversation in the industry definitely has shifted where, things that were kind of unimaginable even 10 years ago are now like, hot topics in the industry. So that was another reason why we're like, okay, let's see if we can, turn the conversation around for SCP, because it's really just so foundational as, as an intellectual property, and also the community. We're dropping a video tomorrow about the Backrooms movie, and I say, it's hard to imagine this moment in the film industry without the SCP Foundation and its lore and its community. So it has to be a part of this moment in the industry for sure.
And speaking on the YouTube to the internet horror to film pipeline, because as you said, we have Zach Kreger doing Resident Evil, just did Weapons recently and Barbarian in the past before that. You've got Raka Raka doing Talk to Me. You've got, of course, Kane Parsons, Kane Pixels with the Backrooms. Now, all of these adaptations we've talked about so far lean very much into a very kind of serious horror vibe. That doesn't read to me what Containment Breach the movie seems to be going for. Where are you aiming your sights when it comes to the genre of a Containment Breach movie?
Yeah, so we've been developing the feature length script on the assumption that we'll be able to make it, and we do really want to hit on it centrally being like an action sci-fi horror film. In the Kickstarter pitch video, the comps, as we say in the industry, are we're looking at films like Aliens, The Thing, even Jurassic Park. Like, these are films that I love and have hugely influenced me, as a filmmaker and as an artist. So we know that that's sort of an expectation from the fans. People want to see serious SCP horror. Now, the proof of concept short film has plenty of that, but the tone is a little bit more satirical and maybe not light, but less grimdark than I was preferring as a director at that point. So when we're thinking about the feature length adaptation, it's I'm directing it, and I have a certain vision and things that I'm interested in as an artist, and there will definitely still be satirical, humorous elements. But our vision from the start has been like, okay, in these first 10 minutes that you see in the proof of concept short, we're kind of massaging the audience into this world, and it was conceived as a sort of welcoming thing where it's like, okay, I can get into this world, and it is quirky, like SCP Foundation. It's got a lot of humorous elements too. So we want to do justice to the horror sci-fi core, but also add in our own artistic sort of proclivities in the set design. The proof of concept short is very colorful. I love working with color in previous films that I've done, and color is very important to me. And so is the humorous sort of tongue-in-cheek Kafkaesque elements that come with the Foundation. I mean, one of the plot points in the proof of concept short, and it will be a plot in the feature, is the Foundation. Our version of the Foundation is in a budget deficit, and they have a ton of money, but it's a very expensive business that they're working in. So the money's got to keep going. They gotta knock on the doors of senators and even the UN and the GOC. They'll have a representative in those budget meetings in the feature length film. So there's a lot of potential for me in what I'm interested in, like the bureaucratic elements of the Foundation, and just the idea that an organization that's tasked every day with like saving the world at every moment and at any moment, if anything screws up, then that will be really bad. They also have to, they also need money. So, like, what does that look like? And I'm rambling a little bit at this point, but yes, sci-fi horror, tons of scares, excellent anomaly design, and then peppered in a little bit of more tongue-in-cheek satirical elements to sort of break up the tension. That's really where we envision putting those elements. You know, and they say it's funny that we were talking about Zach Kreger because he started in comedy with The Whitest Kids You Know, and often what's said, you know, in film is that horror and comedy are two very, very similar um, genres, because if you they both rely on tension and release, tension of the build up to the scare, and then the downtrend of that emotion. And it's the same thing in comedy when you have the build up to a joke, and then you know you laugh and then say on to the next thing. So often people who can do comedy and people who can do horror can kind of flip flop pretty effectively when they understand that.
Same with Jordan Peele, same with so
Yeah.
many directors of our time. I'm going to put us on hold for just 1 second. I'm not going to cut off the rambles because we're here for your perspective on all this. We are seeming to have some technical difficulties. I'm just going to press the lag fix button and hope that fixes the stream. Just 1 moment.
Okay.
Hopefully that should have given us a little savior from the lag internet storm for a bit. Technical difficulties abound as always. So, speaking of you guys' vision, we're looking at a universe of the SCP Foundation that absolutely can't please everyone. Because one person's favorite SCP is the grimmest grimdark, and one person's favorite SCP is the lighthearted camp comedy. And so SCP Containment Breach has its own lore, with being an offshoot site, a storage facility for Site 19, for having this Dr. Maynard character, for D9341, and the Spiral Gestalt lore. What of that are you guys taking, and what are you going to be making your own different when you go into adapting Containment Breach a game?
Yeah, so we want to keep the two things highlighted from Containment Breach. We want to keep the core plot and the skeleton of the story as the Foundation at large is experiencing it. So you know the plot with, and again, this is a tough one because I don't want to give away too much of what we're planning. But the conspiracy with the Chaos Insurgency 079, you know, being a sort of linchpin in that. Dr. Maynard is going to be you know, a pretty major character in the film as we plan it right now. So all of that is, and you know, sort of, you know, the main D class working their way through the Foundation, all of that is going to be there. And then also we want, the way I'm phrasing is, we want to capture what it feels like to play Containment Breach, because it's a terrifying game. We want to capture that in the spirit of cinema and in the medium of cinema. So those two things anchoring the Containment Breach adaptation. When we're thinking about like what a feature film needs and what the medium needs as opposed to a video game, the Containment Breach game is pretty bare bones on the story you're actually experiencing, you know, as you play it, and you're sort of piecing together, you know, who D9341 is through things you find in the game, things you pick up, things you encounter. And really, on the flip side, what we want to accomplish with this too is we want to paint a very clear picture of the SCP Foundation at large too. So we're taking sort of the skeleton and the core really important elements of Containment Breach, and that's sort of our skeleton and our muscular system. And then we're adding in, you know, elements that weren't in the game, plot points like the budget deficit subplot, and the site director lead character as well, stuff that wasn't in Containment Breach at all. Because, you know, like I said, our one of our goals with this is to make the case for SCP cinematic universe, to use a turn of phrase. And an important part of that is really demonstrating and capturing from the outset what the SCP Foundation is in as large a scale as possible conceptually for a more general audience. So we it's important to us to leave room for extra lore from the wiki and roll that into the Containment Breach wiki. Yes. What else can I talk about with that?
Very fantastic. So a lot of people are going to be asking the same question in several variations, which is who's going to be in this movie? And so we can list 100 different actors. We can list 100 different SCP characters, both of which people are interested in. So tell me, of the character list, who you are willing to divulge to the chat.
Yes. So the main D-class character, we considered what to do with that quite a bit. We went back and forth because, again, kind of what I was saying earlier, there are certain things in any video game adaptation that will need to change to suit the film medium. And it's my opinion that while D341 will almost definitely make an appearance in the film in some capacity, he's probably not going to be just a cameo. He will be like a character that shows up, but he's not going to be the main character. And the reason for that is twofold. One, it's my opinion that with the spiral gestalt and the respawn mechanic and the amnestics that they give the D class in the Containment Breach game, so that he doesn't really know who he is, and he's discovering that he was a part of the Foundation. That to me, that would become like a character study. We would have to spend a lot of time away from the actual breach and the action horror genre in order to fill 90 minutes of that story. So it and that's the genius of Containment Breach as a game, right? Like, it's giving you a in-lore justification for the respawn mechanic and giving you a mystery that you, the player, are solving. With a film and a cinematic media, you're watching things unfold. You're not a part of it. So that's a problem that we felt like we needed to solve in order to tell this more grander scope of a story with centering on the Containment Breach itself and the machinations of the Foundation and how the people who make up the Foundation are dealing with this problem and uncovering the secrets of the conspiracy that led to the breach in the first place. So how do we solve that problem? We're changing the main D class character to SCP-181, Lucky, who's a anomalous. He was a D class who, in the Foundation, discovers that he's surviving all these experiments, and he shouldn't be statistically. So, coming to the conclusion that he's got an anomalous luck, really. And we're like, okay, that is the perfect justification for how this character is able to survive so long into the breach when he's got all these odds stacked against him. And it really keeps the same spirit of the game of the D9341, but it's much better suited to the cinematic medium, in my opinion, and much better suited to the story that we want to tell in adapting Containment Breach. So that's the justification behind why we're and I know D341 is like super beloved and he's an iconic character. Again, he will be in the film, just not the main D class character. So that's that. And then also there's going to be another sort of main character, the as of to be decided site director of Site 19, who sort of was really focused on his responsibilities on this particular day, running the budget meeting for the Foundation. And then, of course, he's got all these dignitaries and senators and officials who he's trying to get money from. And then everything sort of blows up in his face, and now he has to manage the expectations of those people while also, making the case why they should, give him money, while also making sure that as many people survive the breach as possible and recontaining everything that's escaped. So, I mean, I just get so excited talking about that plot point specifically, because it's like this character is going to be drawn in so many different directions, and he will be caught up in the breach himself, and he'll be in danger. And just seeing how that character is going to do everything that he needs to do and at what cost is going to be really fun and really satisfying. So, and as far as anomalies, expect all of the iconic ones from Containment Breach. Obviously, 173 is in our proof of concept short film, along with nods to a couple of others. And then also, again, we want to roll in more deeper cut wiki lore. SCP-689 is the other sort of big bad of the proof of concept short. So yeah, that's about it.
And I hear you designed that 173 that we see. Was that was you?
Yes, that was all me. And if I can get to recording this weekend, I'm going to be recording a behind the scenes video, sort of from concept to completion, on how we put that together. The design for 173, the philosophy behind it, the inspirations, and then how we actually implemented it as a miniature on set, and also the CGI too, because there were CGI elements.
Very fantastic, but CGI, but not AI, I hear.
No, never. No.
I've been so sad in the comments of several posts, people being like, "That old lady's face is definitely AI." God, that's just her face, man.
That grinds my gears so much, because we spent 3 years of our lives and so much freaking money, and it spent a year in post production, and I was doing most of it myself, and I'm sitting here just like losing my mind as an artist, and then you drop it, and granted, it's not a lot of people, but when you see people who are like, "This is AI, this sucks," and it's like, it's literally not. Go watch the behind the scenes videos that we posted, across all platforms of us actually shooting the thing on set. I didn't spend all this time and all these resources for you to write it off as AI. That's my rant. I don't want to, get too negative, but it's just like, it's like, it's not what we're doing.
The feelings are there. The feelings are there.
Yeah.
So we've talked about the main character, D181 Lucky, with a little bit of 9341 in on the side quest. We've got our 173, our 079, our 689, who wasn't in Containment Breach the game, but now is making our way in. We have, for other Containment Breach anomalies, that would be your 106, your 049, your 939. There's a lot of anomalies in that game, to be frank. And so when we go over to the doctor side of things, do you have any plans for staff characters in mind besides D9341?
I think we can segue this nicely into a certain announcement.
Into a certain announcement, you say? Announcement? What?
Yes, there's an announcement. Allow me to answer your question, Dr. Sherman. In terms of researchers and foundation staff who are going to be in the film, a character called Dr. Theron Sherman is going to be in the film. Officially announcing that, yes, Sherm is on the team. He is going to be playing a on-screen supporting role as Dr. Sherman, and he is also joining the Keter Labs team in producing this film as a consulting producer. So he's going to be very close in helping us to really flesh out this thing and make sure it's authentic to the SCP lore, and really just like having a huge creative role in the development of the film. So thank you so much, Sherm, for joining. It's huge. I mean, when we first reached out to you, before we even released the proof of concept film, the Site 42 community has just been like a huge well of support and love and gratitude. So want to express that back to you guys, and it's an honor to have you on board, and it's going to be really fun. If we get to do it, we get to do it.
Yes, remember, Site 42 staff, I don't get to be in the movie if there is no movie. So we got to keep this Kickstarter going, guys.
Yes.
But legit, I am very excited for you guys, as I am for every project in the SCP community. And I will do my best to continue to signal boost. I will do my best to continue to provide what networking I can between the wiki staff, between the community. Not everybody's going to like everything. I've already got a couple posts here like, oh, this looks like this looks like that. You can't please everybody with everything, and we know that. So we can just do the best we can to make the best we can for the most people who will enjoy it at the end of the day.
Exactly.
There is no canon, but we're all making art at the end of the day, and that's what's most important.
Yep.
Speaking of making art, Going back to your history now, your credentials coming into the community to be the ones who bring us to theaters. So, first of all, tell me about your filmic background. What have you made in the past? Features, shorts, a little bit behind the scenes into your background, August's background in the chat.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's funny. I was not trained as a filmmaker. Oh, I didn't go to film school. I went to art school, which is even worse. It's studying as a painter and a fine artist. And I only at the very end of college got into writing and then followed that into screenwriting. So I've written like a ton of feature length scripts, gotten coverage on most of them. Coverage is usually really positive. There was one year that I made it into the quarterfinals of the CineQuest screenwriting competition, which is like even at the quarterfinal was big deal. Like it's a good, really good screenwriting competition. So that was awesome, and that was for a TV pilot. Um, and yeah, after sort of my screenwriting era and really honing my skills with that, I got into making just like really low budget short films, music videos, just around stuff of my own making, stuff I made up. And if you search Zach Loda on YouTube, you can see some of that stuff. It's really fun. Some of it's from like 10 years ago. And then my big foray into feature filmmaking was a movie called He Who Lives in Hidden Lakes, very SCP inspired. And it's funny. I was that project is when August and I connected, and he produced that feature film. Very low budget, really punk rock. Like we spent like 10 days shooting it straight, which is insane. But we were like in the woods for most of the time and batting away mosquitoes. And I almost lost my eye. It was a whole story. But there's a behind the scenes video of that too, and the film is on Amazon Prime and Tubi, I believe, right now. So Tubi film, whatever. But yes, that is sort of a creature feature mockumentary. It's got sort of comedic elements, but also horror elements too, and it's really sort of a cerebral look into this kind of really it's how a meme becomes flesh. Really, it's a mockumentary about a cryptid who's living in a suburban forest preserve, but he might just be a bum. People don't really know what exactly it is, so people have all these interpretations of what this cryptid called the Hidden Man actually is. So the film sort of explores that, and it transmutates into from a mockumentary style into a more cinematic style as it goes on. And like I said, it was very, from the outset, influenced by SCP. I even considered submitting the Hidden Man concept to the wiki, but I discovered and remembered that the Creative Commons license was sort of a blocker to that. So I immediately wrote that idea off. Just going to be my own thing. And we went ahead and made the film. August has also produced a couple of feature films on his own. He just wrapped a short film, which I was on set for in Los Angeles, which he directed, and it's sort of an autobiographical thing about his mom and growing up. And it's I've seen it; it's really good. Like he did a bang up job on that thing. So yeah, we've been around, and we've worked in the film industry for probably over 10 years now. We edit, we dipped our toes into theatrical distribution a little bit, and I can't really talk too much about that. But we were sort of on the team of kind of a big like franchise that had a theatrical release like years ago. So I don't want to say that like we're deep into the theatrical world, but we have brushed up with it, and we've been in it a little bit. So we bring some understanding to the theatrical distribution space too.
And you have made the claim in one of your video essays that you believe that theatrical runs for SCP films might be the only way for us to financially succeed in this, being that due to the Creative Commons. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, so basically with Creative Commons, if you don't know, that's what all SCP content and derivative content must be licensed under. And really the crux of it is that as a creator, you're giving up commercial exclusivity when you create and release an SCP film or a book or something like that, anything. So that's why studios ignore it, because they almost definitely know about it. They've made things that are inspired by SCP, Cabin in the Woods, you name it, and but it's not SCP, right? Like we want to see an SCP story that's faithfully adapting the thing. But to up until this point, it's been regarded as impossible, because you can make one and release an SCP film, but as soon as it's online, someone's going to rip it and they're going to put it on their own YouTube channel, and then that divides the attention and the revenue across many channels that the original creator can't capture, because you can't enforce copyright takedowns. Like you just can't do it. It's not legal under the Creative Commons license. However, this is the whole thesis of how we can get the industry in on financing or helping to finance a theatrical SCP film, whether it be this one or one in the future too. And that's the theatrical venue, because it's a real life event. You can't pirate a real life event, especially with the backing of the community. Like imagine an SCP movie with the hype on the level of the Backrooms movie coming out next week. I mean, it's hard to imagine that a theatrical distributor wouldn't see some return on investment in that. So if you front load the financial demand like that and convince a production company and a theatrical distributor that they will make money, they pretty much will, because people want to see this and they want to show up, and they can, on a modest budget to produce the film, they can make their money back with a reasonable expectation. Because I might do a video essay on this in the future, whether during the campaign or beyond it. Because you can't pirate in the way the theatrical industry works is that there's a very specific format that most major theatrical runs use, and it's called a digital cinema package, and it's a very specific. It's not a USB flash drive, although some films are exhibited that way. It's to get the best possible theatrical experience, you need to have a DCP. So if we have all those DCPs, we're the only ones sending them out to the theaters. The theaters aren't going to. They could share them, but they're not going to, because they want people to go to their theater to see it. They don't really have the incentive to share it in the way that if Netflix put an SCP movie on their platform, HBO would be there at the drop, ripping it and then putting it on their platform. Much harder sell for someone who it might be interested in financing a film. Whereas with theatrical, there's much more just like logistical hurdles that would need to be overcome, and incentive structures that just aren't there, that make a theatrical SCP event much more viable from a financial perspective, or at least that's the thesis. But the thing is, to even get into those conversations, in order to assuage the concerns around the license, we need to show that people will show up for an SCP movie in the first place, and that's the purpose of the Kickstarter.
And, I've been thinking about this from the influencer perspective. I've been doing YouTube for 10 years because I've been following MattPat, I've been following Markiplier, all these influencers who made bigger projects. And it's that you build your audience to make sure they're hyped. That way they get you into theaters eventually. Markiplier invested famously now 2 to 2.5 mil into Iron Lung, brought back, 30 million on the opening weekend? And so that is the kind of investment structure these people are looking for. If we can get it to theaters, if we can get eyes on this and attention and that opening investment, this really has a shot, as long as the community itself rallies, both in the opening investment, but also in that phone ringing, hey, bring this to my theater, get a DCP for this so we can actually see it.
Yep, exactly. I mean, it really feels like, going back to the idea that there's this moment in the industry that makes it the perfect time to, prove this to the world is, if we had tried this, maybe 5 years ago, maybe the fans would give, the same level of support. We would all get behind it, but the industry wasn't at a point where they would consider it. The fact that SCP is so beloved and so huge, it's got such a rich lore going back, decades at this point, almost 20 years. is a very strong selling point. Especially, I mean, the Backrooms is it's going to be A24's biggest theatrical opening of their entire history as a company. Probably. That's what people are saying. So
I've already got my tickets.
yeah, the fact that it is the Backrooms, which is very hard to imagine the Backrooms being what it is without SCP. We've got a real pitch here to to try to get in on this era in the film industry.
And we're looking at, as we said before, you've got all of the YouTube horror makers. You've got the Backrooms going from 4chan to theaters. You've got the amazing Digital Circus putting its finale in theaters, which means that really not just that movies are making their way, but just theatrical adaptations are now taking more and more from the internet because you need something to get people in the door. And imagine what's going to happen after we get our first SCP feature. We get it in the door. We get it in the theaters. People go and see it because they're going to want to see this landmark event. And then how many stories are there in the SCP written universe that could easily be adapted? Any independent director like you, like anyone, can say, oh, this could be investment worthy. This could happen. The door will be kicked in, and I'm sure there's going to be a flood of it just as soon as it starts, once that faucet is open.
Yeah, like I always say, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, for those exact reasons.
Indeed. Now let's get into a little bit of a lighter fare since we've been talking industry for a little bit. I'm sure the group wants to know, the chat wants to know, when did you get into the SCP Foundation? When was your initial jump in?
Yeah, I mean, like I mentioned earlier, it's been a part of my life for quite some time. Shortly after, I first got started in 2008, I was never a big 4chan guy, but I was sort of aware. I was in the creepypasta, world, and SCP right out of the gate was just like a huge part of that. It was so enticing for middle school me. It was probably like 13, 14, 15. And it was like,
I only
up
got
there
into
with
it in 2013. You might be more of an OG than I am.
really. Well, I mean, I'm getting older, man. My memory is not doing so well these days. So you and probably everyone in the chat blow me out of the water with your knowledge of the actual
It's length of time versus dev. It's length of time versus obsession.
Yeah. So I mean, that first 173 4chan post is just stuck in my mind. And then, Markiplier did his live streams of Containment Breach, or not live streams, it doesn't exist yet, the Let's Plays. And that, like we were talking about, that was sort of a moment where like SCP really leveled up in the collective consciousness. And it also,
if you watch the listing of how many SCP articles were written by year, you can just see the Containment Breach lump.
Yeah. Yeah, I have seen that chart. And yeah, it's just, it's just been sort of a constant fixture in my life and how I approach things creatively. Like I mentioned, my debut first feature film was heavily inspired by SCP and just the vibe on the site and in the lore. I go crazy for it, and I was big into Halo and stuff, and like I said, Aliens and Jurassic Park. It's all sort of like, like this sci-fi with horror elements is just my bag. So it's always been something I've come back to.
And of course, the chat's going to want to know, what are your favorites of the SCP archive? Over 10,000 SCPs. There's got to be a couple that are the top of the heap for you.
Yeah, I really, really love what happened to Site 13. I really wanted to adapt it, but like you said, it's just going to be a bigger budget. So we gotta start with a more sort of contained story. That's the one I always go back to, and these might be a little basic, but I really love the ones that are just like a weird object that does weird stuff, like me, the toaster. I'm a toaster. The self-replicating cake. Just stuff that like behaves weirdly in a way that it shouldn't. Is stuff I'm a sucker for. And yeah, I mean the vending machine where you type in whatever liquid you want and then it comes out, and yeah, I always get tripped up, and I'm super bad with numbers too. Like I can never keep track of all the numbers. I'm not a numbers guy.
I only have as far as numbers as I can because of this community, and
I
even
know.
then, I still transpose digits all the time.
I see just railing them off. Like there's someone mentions a really obscure one in the chat, and you're like, "Oh yes, that's SCP XXX." Impressive. That's an impressive skill set you have there, my friend.
You get to learn the most popular numbers over time. A lot of people wonder why, like 106, 049, all of these are the ones that people know, and the people know the numbers. And it's because there's something about, like you said, 426, 871, the cakes, 294, the coffee machine. What they are is incredibly simple concepts. And when you get into the organization of memes, not just internet memes, but the concept of memes as transmissible ideas and their original concept, these 106 is a simple guy who can walk through walls, acid skin will chase you. 173, statue that you have to look at. 096, thing you can't look at. They're all very simple one-note objects that give you the ability to transmit that meme very easily. The more complex the story, the harder it is to become this transmissible. Also, it just so happens that all of these ones I just listed make very simple video game enemies. This guy touches you. 049, well, you're dead. You're a zombie now. 096, it'll chase you. 173, it'll chase you. So these are both simple memes and video gamey enemy concepts.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's like Richard Dawkins' original definition of a meme. It's the smallest transferable unit of an idea. So yeah, that makes sense. I never considered that before. Also, what I forgot that I always have found just like super terrifying is 303. And he actually, there's a little Easter egg in the proof of concept short where 303 kind of shows up. Not many people have found it, but take a look at the what that anomaly is and how he works, and showing up in the window and his sense of dread, and you can triangulate where he shows up in the film.
Oh, the doorman. Yes, okay. Now I'm caught up. See, I did not know 303 by name. I had to check that one. All right. Question check. Anything I've missed on my list of questions before I take us to the chat? Funding. So we want to run down the Kickstarter. We want to run down its stretch goals. Why have you structured it the way you have?
Yes. Excuse me. I drank some water and went down the wrong pipe. That happens to me all the time. Gotta work on my streaming etiquette. Sorry. So, excuse me. All right, I'm good. So the stretch goals. Yeah, this is something that has come up, and we've added a fact on the frequently asked questions entry on the actual Kickstarter page. You might notice that the base goal for the SCP movie Kickstarter is $125,000. And under our stretch goal section, you can see that if we hit that, that allows us to do the next 10 minutes, continuing the 10 minutes we've already done. That's not a feature film. That's a 20-minute short film. So the reasoning behind that is that we want to be very transparent and sort of responsible with the amount of funding that we're asking for versus what we can actually accomplish at each potential financing level, each stretch goal. You'll see that subsequent stretch goals are like add another 10 minutes. That's 30 minutes, 40 minutes, which could be technically a feature film. So we really want to keep the door and the potential open for making this a success at any level of funding for the Kickstarter. What the most important thing to keep in mind is that even at that base goal, like we were talking about earlier, Kickstarter doesn't need to be the only financing path to the full-length SCP movie. We know that even $125 or $125,000. I would love to make a feature film for that much.
$125. Oh no! I'll give you $350. It's okay.
Loch Ness monster. Yeah, we don't want to pretend that $125,000 buys a 90-minute feature film, because that would be insane. And we just talked about how we are not using AI, and we want it to look good and be human made. And feature films are super expensive. So no matter where the Kickstarter lands, it's super important that we hit that base goal, because that allows us to go to other financing sources, whether it be private investors, maybe even studios grants to say, look, there's real demand for this. People are financially supporting this already. Make up the difference. There's an opportunity here. So it's twofold. The way the stretch goals are structured and the base goal, because we don't want to set the base goal so high that people look at it and they're like, okay, well, they're never reaching that in the first place. 125 is still very achievable. So it's a balancing act between being upfront and responsible about what we can reasonably guarantee just from the Kickstarter funding, versus leaving the door open for the campaign to actually get funded, and then using that as leverage to enter into these conversations, no matter where the Kickstarter ends up, in saying, Mr. Investor, Mrs. Investor, you could help build on this and help make this happen.
And both reminder to the chat for context that SCP Galleonic did structure their Kickstarter in basically the exact same way, which was their first goal was the next 5 minutes of the short. And so to build the 20-minute short, you had to go 4 stretch goals deep with different stretch goals in between, like BTS, like this and that. So it wasn't just, here's the fully funded movie at the start and other stuff. You got to space that out a little bit to make sure you get your funding goals. Also, I am dearly hoping that we can get more community input on this than investors, if only because the community always is worried when it comes to Hollywood, when it comes to Netflix, that, oh man, while I would adore to have that kind of backing, we also worry about what the outsiders from the community trying to come in would do with the story, as opposed to someone who actually cared about the community as a whole.
Yeah, well, and actually SCP is uniquely advantageously positioned when we're talking about that conversation, because one, we've got the Kickstarter kickstarting the whole thing, and the fact that we're being so open and you're being so open and we're publicly involved in the community. Anyone who comes on board in that capacity is going to need to understand that this is sort of an open conversation in how to authentically adapt SCP, because that's the most important thing. I mean, if the fans aren't happy, no one's going to show up to the film, and then we failed. So, and that's different from more closed IP, like even the back rooms, where the fans are kind of on social media and they're talking, but the film is developed and produced completely behind closed doors, and oftentimes the IP is sort of already set and people own the IP. And sometimes even when fans have that reaction to changes made in other stuff, it's the actual IP owners or people who are involved in those companies that are making the calls directly to change certain things or do things in a certain way. And in the case of an SCP movie, that's one of the super advantageous things that it has going for it, is that fans will have real leverage in ensuring that we're doing the SCP Foundation justice in our adaptation. So that's something, if we make it to the conversations with investors, if we need to in the first place, if we fund the entire thing through Kickstarter, that's like the ideal scenario. But again, just wanting to leave multiple pathways open, and in the pathway where we're talking to outside investment and these types of folks, it's going to be upfront. Like, look, this is not a normal IP, whether it's in the license or in how the community engages with it and co-creates it. You're going to know that before you put your money up.
And speaking of outside support, bringing in decentralized pictures. How did that connection happen? Where does this come from? What are you guys doing to work together on this?
Yeah, so DCP has been a great partner. We've known the folks who run DCP for a good handful of years now, and we sort of got connected through just our work in the general film industry. We got connected to Leo, the CEO, and if no one is familiar yet, I'm sure a lot of people are familiar, but got to plug it. Like, one of our first stretch goal beyond the base goal at $150,000. If we hit that, we are going to put we're going to put up $20,000, and Decentralized Pictures is also going to put up $20,000 of grant money to host a sort of a competition of sorts, a grant competition on the decentralized pictures platform where filmmakers from the community will pitch SCP short films. And between DCP and us as the Keter Labs team and the community voting on that platform, we're going to be greenlighting 2 of those SCP short film pitches with that grant money from the first stretch goal. So, I mean, I can't overstate how insane that is, that we were able to pitch this idea to DCP, and they were like, "Yeah, this we see the opportunity here. This is great." And the fact that they would commit to, under certain conditions, just giving $20,000 of grant money to an SCP filmmaker. This is an actual indie film industry institution that was co-founded by members of the Coppola family and really legit people in the indie film space. And yeah, it's just we need to be pushing that angle harder, I think, because that's just huge for the legitimacy of what we're trying to do with SCP. And it shows you that the door could be kind of opening to bigger budget SCP short filmmaking too.
Exactly. I'm talking to short filmmakers all the time behind the scenes. Everybody has the project, but the problem with these projects is the budget, because filming is expensive. And without people who are willing to invest in SCP, we're all kind of cash strapped. And so this as an opportunity to get someone in the Hollywood sphere, a Hollywood nonprofit, saying, "Hey, you guys, we see you. We think you can mobilize. Show us what you got. This is our shot."
Yeah, I mean, DCP, they just spent the past week at the Cannes Film Festival, which is the biggest film festival in the world. And they were there, and they announced their new streaming service. So they are legit, and they see the potential in SCP, and they want to help us out. But we gotta get to that number first.
We gotta prove ourselves. Now, getting through the last of my questions here, we're done with the serious business. We're on to the silly shit. Why did Markiplier call you an idiot?
He got me. I made him mad. I'm not that sorry, because here's the thing. It's so funny. Go watch Power Wash Pals episode 12 or something. His podcast replays Power Wash Pals. Yes, he called me. He called me an idiot. I don't think he wasn't directly talking to me like, "Zach Lona, you are an idiot." He saw the title and thumbnail to our open letter to him, asking him if we could open up a conversation in regards to him coming on board the cast for SCP Containment Breach the movie. And it really was my fault, because I didn't title that video very effectively. The original title was Open Letter to Markiplier, the SCP movie. Right now, it's Open Letter Markiplier, we're making an SCP movie. Because what happened, as he explained it, was that he saw that title and thumbnail, and he thought and assumed that this was a video where people were asking him to make an SCP movie. And that was not the proposal. But he didn't click on the video, somewhat understandably. And he's like, well, you can go watch the Power Wash Pals podcast. But that is why he called me an idiot, because he's like, "Don't tell me what to do. I need a break. I spent all this money. Don't tell me to make an SCP movie, even though that's not what we were actually proposing. We're making the SCP movie. And we would still love to have him aboard." I mean, I'm wearing my Iron Lung shirt right now, coincidentally. Still big fan. I don't take it personally. He's got to deal with a lot. He doesn't know.
He's busy.
Yeah, exactly. So I people are saying like, "Oh, I wish Markiplier said no." He didn't say no. He didn't say no to the actual yes or no to the actual proposal. We don't know if he's seen the actual proposal yet to see if he's interested in possibly joining the cast. So
if anything, he said no to making his own movie, which means there's less competition for your movie. So
yeah,
honestly,
exactly.
That's a bonus.
Yeah. So I wouldn't count on it, but I also wouldn't count it out.
So yes, hopefully Markiplier down the line finds out the truth of this scenario.
Yeah, I would appreciate that.
All right, Containment Hazard Assessment Team, i.e. chat. We have been live for approximately 1 hour even. How perfectly that worked out. At this point, we are now accepting questions from the chat. And so I will be watching the chat for any questions that you guys want answered by Zach here before he runs off. And while we wait for those questions to file in, Desk, do me a hazard. Do me a favor. Do me the opposite of a hazard. If you see any good questions you want answered, please pluck them from the chat and put them in the back channels. That way I can answer them. But in the meantime, while we wait for questions to come in, Zach, what is the question that you wanted someone to ask that you haven't gotten to talk about your favorite thing about this yet?
Man, I honestly feel like I've covered. I mean, August and I have just like been for like years, just like working up to this one web page that is the Kickstarter, URL, and it's like I feel really good about the messaging that we've got here. It's really just up to the world now to give us the green light and come on board the project en masse. So the response we've gotten so far on across platforms, especially on YouTube, especially thanks to the Site 42 community and you, Sherm. It's clear that the idea is resonating with people, and I think we're going to see a lot of. I think we're going to start to see some pretty serious traction pretty soon, hopefully. But in terms of things that I would have liked to talk about, I mean, we've got the messaging down pat, and I feel really good about having talked about everything I feel like is important, at least right now.
Excellent, excellent. Now we've got for the Kickstarter roles where these people are going to get to do voice lines and or be a walk-on extra in the film. Now, I do believe those are already all taken up, right?
Yep. We had three voice lines and 3 walk-on extras, and those are all gone now.
And I guess the question from the chat, although chat, you will not get to be those people now because they're taken up. How much say are they going to have in what they're doing? What character will they be? Do you have in mind for them? I think some of them are mobile task force members or something.
Well, that's kind of the just the title of the tiers. So we're thinking like, okay, like these are like experiential things. You are our mobile task force. That said, I think it might depend. I mean, really, what we want to make clear is that priority number 1 is making a great film. So we have very specific ideas on how to do that. We're also definitely open to fun ideas that our collaborators might have, especially from the Kickstarter. So we want to make sure that those folks are feeling really good and proud of their part in the movie. But how it will probably go is we will probably come at them with an idea, and then just kind of like workshop it from there. It's like, okay, we have this sequence where an extra can plug in here and interface with such and such possible list of SCPs that would fit in this dramatic scenario. What do we think about that? And then just kind of workshop it from there. But yeah, just to be clear, like we will have sort of the final say, but we want you to be happy with and really proud of your part in the movie too.
Mm-hmm. And I do have a lot of people saying previously and now, I am broke, gang. How can I help if I cannot donate?
Share far and wide. We know that everyone's broke.
Things are not going great right now for us. Thank you, SCP 5004-B.
Yes, the economy is in shambles. So we know that not everyone is going to be able to back it financially. That's totally fine. If you do want to still support and boost the project, you got to share it. Tune into Sherm's live streams, subscribe to our YouTube channels, just like engage. We need the algorithm to favor us. We need the algo gods to, pick us up and swoop us away. And we need to set that up as much as possible. And that's where you guys really come in. at a very fundamental level is just like keep sharing, keep engaging, share it with your friends. Repost across platforms. Just every little engagement helps.
Yep. Let's see. How best to promote it. Tried with Reddit post. Felt was well written, plus few cross posts. Reddit filter removed it. One commenter said was making things worse. So what you're dealing with there, Rebel Commander, is the art of marketing is a little bit of a bear. I mean, even as effusive in linguistic flourishes I tend to be, and having dealt with professional copy from my work in sales previously, selling things can be annoying. Self-promotion is seen as gauche, and to a point, I say if you're not willing to sell yourself, are you really worth selling by anyone else in the first place? And so self-promotion should not be as frowned upon as it is. People kind of see it as gauche in that manner, but furthermore, they'll see it worse if it's not well put, if it's not very cleanly written. It's hard, especially on Reddit where moderation can be very severe. That can be the hardest place to do it.
Yeah, and we kind of noticed, we've been posting on the SCP subreddit for, since we were in post-production on the film, just sharing, art that we made and stuff from the film, and that always went over really well. The only like promotional post we've done was, just dropping a link to the Kickstarter when it went live. But there have been like a ton of people who I can't control them, like they post about, about the project, and we don't, necessarily endorse the exact messaging that they're doing. So if you're someone who wants to share this project on the Reddit, I just ask you to not come off as too self-promotional, or just kind of be friendly and organic, and make it a constructive conversation, around like the art and the lore. And don't try not to be so promo-y, because there's a different culture on that platform that you have to respect, and we want to respect that. We don't want any sort of unauthorized messaging reflecting badly on the project or like on us, because it's been tough to get into like a self promo mode just as a person and as an artist. But like at a certain point, like, yeah, you need to, if you don't, no one. What I've learned is that if you don't ring your own, toot your own horn to a certain extent, especially now with just algorithmic slop just flooding every platform, like you need to do what you can to stand out, especially if we have like a mission driven thing here where it's not just about us, it's about making something happen for like this entire community and this entire fan base and all the creators who helped get it to the spot. I mean, that makes me feel a lot better about like taking a little bit more direct salesy approach, which is not in my nature at all. So yeah, it's a delicate thing, but I like to think generally that it's been more effective um, than we anticipated.
One thing I can tell you guys from personal experience is you're going to be better off a lot of the time with about 80% algorithm engagement versus 20% actual posting to communities. Posting on your own social media feeds, Twitter, Threads, Blue Sky, Instagram, Facebook, God rest us all. How many? There's too many. But when you post them on your own profile, you're posting them to your community, even if you have like 100 followers, that still gets it in the algorithm as existing. The phrase SCP Containment Breach the movie gets in the algorithm. And so between liking and reposting what Keter Labs is doing and posting your own things rather than posting specifically in Discord groups, in Reddit groups where the communities have rules and are a little more tight knit and are trying to filter out spam. What you're doing is you're getting the algorithm to do the work for you rather than purposefully posting. It's the same way that the Paul brothers blew up, is they kept sending their fans back and forth with their little rap battles, and they kept getting more and more comments and engagement, and that was natural growth according to the algorithms. On the same thing, is there anything, Zach, in particular you would like people to be saying about the film when they are posting things?
I mean, and I'm trying to think of what will be, the most effective in terms of like the messaging of it. I mean, a lot of what people have posted already, especially on like, Twitter and stuff like that, have just been like, this looks amazing. I mean, we put so much work into illustrating our vision for the film, and obviously it's evolved a little bit since then as we look towards the feature length version. But man, we just poured our heart and soul into that 10 minutes, and it was just a ton of work. So I think if people see that, like, oh, this is an actual thing, it's low budget, but it looks really good. The performances are great. Anything that will signal to people that this is a legit project with legit filmmakers behind it. They've already showed what they can do, and I think that it's worth backing and sharing and stuff like that. I would definitely keep it, not all the time, but maybe center it on like the proof that we've tried to supply. If you think that it's enough and it resonates with you, and the most important part, I think, is authenticity.
Authenticity, I was about to say the exact same thing, which is making it about your personal likes, even dislikes in a comment, as long as it's, the SCP Foundation is an arts community built on critique. So we all know it's not going to be perfect, and what can be done better in the future is fair game. But your personal thoughts and excitement are so much more important to a comment and a post than just a little random thing that could have been written by an AI bot that people will see it and just wipe it past their eyes, not pay attention. So that kind of authenticity can be a great help.
Exactly.
Do you have any preferences, regulations, rules when it comes to making edits of the movie or trailer for those who are making film edits and song edits and stuff like that?
Look, it's released under the Creative Commons. You could do whatever you want with it. You can make an edit. People have already made edits. There was someone from Italy who reached out to us a couple months ago who was asking for permission to do an Italian fan dub of the proof of concept short film. And we're like, you don't need our permission at all, but it's great that you reached out because we can give you the audio stems, so you can make your dub. So whatever you want to do with the materials we've released is fair game. People have already done a ton of amazing edits. I mean, Flames has been posting edits of the film on his TikTok, and it's in the video he posted that we talked about at the top of the hour. So I mean, the more of that we can get going, if it creatively speaks to you and it's a project you want to sort of put together, definitely, by all means, and let us know, like in our Discord or wherever, and we'll boost them because we love to see them for sure.
Keter Labs Discord server. Make sure you're finding your way there, people. And on that same note, remember, Creative Commons 3.0 share alike license. So that means that once you make your edit, all you got to do is credit Keter Labs, link to the original video that you're making the edit of, and then release your work via the same Creative Commons license. In every Site 42 SCP reading, if you go to the bottom of the description, you'll see our Creative Commons release, and you can just copy that wholesale. That is what we use. We took our wording from the SCP database and working with staff. All you've got to do is you've got to change whatever. There's a setting that says like, oh, the graphic design of this page, change it to whatever you've made, the film in this, and then change it who it was made by. So my graphic design for YouTube is made by John Maddox, a friend of mine from back home. He made all my stuff, so he's on the Creative Commons license. Whoever makes your stuff, release it via the same Creative Commons license, and you're good to go.
Amazing.
What's an SCP
for one more question, and I got
one more question.
I'm working on this backrooms. I'm working on this backrooms video essay. I'm like super behind, and I want to drop it in the morning. So it's been amazing, but I got time for one more question.
All right, one more question. We need a real good one, chat. I do believe what I will pick as our last question is, okay, where is the Keter Labs Discord? And like the SCP Foundation community, are you keeping the Keter Labs Discord 18+, or are you going to keep it clean enough that minors can join in? Do you have the moderation to handle such a thing?
Yes. So, admittedly, August and I are not the biggest Discord users. We're still kind of learning the platform. We did just crown Dr. Alexander Knox in our Discord, our inaugural mod. So, join the Discord, but it's a little bit, we're getting it up and running still. And I think that's not really something we had considered yet. As far as the age limit, I know the SCP Wiki Discord has is 18 plus. The site is 18 plus, so we probably want to follow through with that. But at the same time, it's like I got into SCP when I was 13. So I do want to be sensitive to younger fans who maybe shouldn't be engaging with it, but they're going to anyway. That's just how the internet works. So let's talk about that. Yeah, you're on the team now, Sharon.
We'll discuss this in the background. In the meantime, maybe we get you guys to join the Site 42 Discord server just so people from my side can message you as well, stuff like that.
Yes, that'd be great. We'll do that right after we hop off. But in terms of where to find,
give these guys. Go ahead.
Yeah, where to find our Discord? Go to the Keter Labs YouTube channel and the little links at the top there. It's there.
All right, I am going to force one more question on you, but it's going to be a rapid fire round. Everybody is wondering what SCPs are in this movie. You don't have to answer these because they would be spoilers. I just want you to hold the best face you can, and any twitches will be taken as a yes or no answer under the chat's auspices. You never know. So, will SCP-953, the polymorphic humanoid, otherwise known as the Kumiho, be in Keter Labs' SCP Containment Breach the movie?
Maybe.
Will SCP-999, the tickle monster, be in the Keter Labs SCP Containment Breach movie?
Prognosis is good.
Oh, that's better than maybe. Will SCP-426, I Am a Toaster, be in the movie?
Probably not, but if it does show up, it'll be like a little gag thing that there's going to be a ton that are going to be like, just quick things, quick cameos in the background, or, stuff that fans will appreciate, but don't like, because at the same time, it's like again, the biggest priority is making a faithful adaptation and a good film of SCP Containment Breach. We're not going to be able to fit in like every idea that everyone has for which SCPs are included. We really want to have intention behind what we're putting in, but there's going to be a lot of room as we're traversing the facility to see and give nods and give flowers to the deep cuts in some capacity or another.
All right, you're slowing down my rapid fire though. Quicker answers. Sorry. Will 049 be in the movie?
Yeah, absolutely.
Will 035 be in the movie?
Absolutely.
Will there be a Little Caesars pizza box to represent SCP-458, the Infinite Pizza Box, in the movie?
That's very easy to do. Actually, no, it's not, because Little Caesars is we can't have
product placement, exactly.
No, yeah. Unless they pay us for that product-based placement, which is another avenue for financing, which
Little
we have
Caesars,
thought about.
We're calling you out.
All right, so we'll put a pin in that.
Alto Clef be in the movie?
Possibly. There's a possibility that he could be the leading site director role. No promises. We're still, figuring out what that character specifically is. But he is a contender.
And will SCP-527, Mr. Fish, be in the movie?
No, I'm not familiar with that one.
It's a guy whose head is a fish and wears a top hat. He's Mr. Fish. His only power is being Mr. Fish.
I'll have to read the entry on that one to decide. But I'll be honest, probably not. Probably doesn't fit the tone of the film.
And the very last one I'll ask about, because Dr. Frogman requires it, because his name is literally Dr. Frogman. SCP-8012, Wigglebert the Great, the Frog Wizard. A frog with a wizard hat. Put him in a jar. I don't care.
Maybe.
Wigglebert! Wigglebert King, rise up! All right, Zach, thank you very much for joining us on today's stream. Any last words before you sign you off and get you to your video essay work?
Just thank you. Thank everyone who's here. Thank you for all the backing and the support behind the Kickstarter, whether financially or otherwise. You know, it's super. It's just insane to see. I mean, just the traction we've had so far. It's just like August and I are so grateful, and we're happy to now be expanding the team, welcoming you, Sherm, on board. It's gonna be great. Like, just yeah, thank you for your collaboration, and thank you to the entire community, because it's so encouraging to see that this is actually something that people want, and that we're trying to be the ones who deliver it. So it makes us feel like we haven't wasted the past 3 years of our lives putting this together.
Très magnifique. Thank you very much for joining us today, Zach. You have a great rest of your day. And chat, we're going to have a little general Q&A for a little bit before we hang out. So, Zach, farewell and Godspeed. Excelsior, I believe you say.
Excelsior, yes. August and I have signed off every call we've ever had for like the past couple of years with Excelsior, so that's where that came from. And glad to spread
Fucking
it around.
nerds.
That's it, baby. All right, sure. Thank you so much. Look out for the Backrooms video tomorrow morning, everyone, because that will be going live.
Amen and cheers. Catch you next time, brother.
See ya.
All right, Site 42 staff. I hope you enjoyed this special feature with the director, Zach, from SCP Containment Breach the movie. Now we are moving into general Q&A for, I will say, 40 minutes. 40 minutes of general Q&A. We will return to This Is My JamCon following the weekend, because we only have a little time left today, and then we have short streams over the weekend. Fan Art Fridays tomorrow, but otherwise, I'm going to catch up on the donations that came in during the interview, and then we will have general Q&A. So, let me first check the Ko-Fi. Let me see if I missed notifications. I didn't see one. So yeah, we're clear there. Daniel Cross, thank you for sending a flow state to the Containment Hazard Assessment team. I really feel like Zach and I were in the zone during that interview. And August, thank you for being here in the chat as well. Amber, thank you for sending a floating heart to the Containment Hazard Assessment team. I'm sure they feel the love. Aoki, thank you for sending a star to the Containment Hazard Assessment team. I'm sure they'll enjoy its twinkle. Sleepless Dragon, thank you for sending 4 more stars. So now the Containment Hazard Assessment team is a 5-star chat. Congratulations on max rating, team. Puppet Boy, thank you for sending sparkles to the Containment Hazard Assessment team. I'm sure they enjoy the glitter bomb. Mamori, thank you for your 7 months as a level 1 researcher here at Site 42. We appreciate your membership and your service. My birthday stream is so far the absolute coolest. Oh my god. Oh, well, happy birthday and welcome to our interview stream. I'm going to have to clip that hour and 20 minutes and make it into a nice video to upload on the channel for people who missed it. 100 stars. Thank you for sending a star to the Containment Hazard Assessment team. I'm sure they'll enjoy its twinkle again. Rebel Commander, thank you for donating 3 separate times to ask about your SCP Reddit woes. Yes, moderation can be quite tough. In fact, I got moderated by the SCP Discord server mods because I told someone to share the Kickstarter around, and I was told don't encourage spamming. So they mean serious business. I am still waiting on a response of how to share it responsibly in the future. But we're doing our best here. Because at the end of the day, we have to get this Killer Labs movie made. One way or another. 953, thank you for sending a GGEZ and a star to the Containment Hazard Assessment team. I'm sure they'll enjoy the twinkle during their good game that was so easy. And Zombie Cat, thank you for sending and Upgraded Chainsaw Man. Thank you for sending doubloons to the Containment Hazard Assessment team. I'm sure they will spend them wisely. When will this come out? Intern Keegan, the SCP Containment Breach movie is slated to come out Q2 of 2029 if it gets fully funded and made, which is why we need to support the SCP Kickstarter. Dr. Sherman, are you going to go full screen? Nope. because now that I've done this interview thing, my screen is stuck like this until we end, unfortunately. I wonder if you refresh your app, if it will return me to normal. But otherwise, I'm stuck like this during our Q&A. Oh my gosh, I feel so little. I'm going to refresh the chat and see if how it looks on my end. I just saw a notification that I think you guys will find entertaining. One moment. Let me pull up the notification here. So, how does this look to you guys? Dr. Sherman has officially joined the SCP Containment movie team. We're ecstatic to announce that Sherman Christensen, Site 42, is officially aboard SCP Containment Breach movie as consulting producer and in the supporting roles Dr. Theron Sherman. A full-length theatrical SCP movie made by fans for fans. We're honored to welcome Sherman to the team. Much love to the entire Site 42 community. Yo, man. I have not been on set since before the pandemic, and in fact, that is a pre-pandemic headshot. I really need to go out and get some more headshots. Have they talked about their plans for the film if they don't raise the full amount? Lot 1, I am so glad you are here. I can't believe I forgot to ask that, although it was kind of looped into one of our questions, which is that once they're hoping to hit the bare minimum 125K Kickstarter goal, which is for the next 10 minutes of the movie. Because if they are able to reach that and prove that there is enough interest, then they are hoping to talk to some backers and investors they have connections with to say, hey, the audience is here, invest in it, and take some off the top of the theatrical run, and it'll be a trade and you'll make a profit. So I'm sure there's some accounting foo they're going to do in the background, but they do have plans for that. Lot 1, I highly recommend you get in touch with Keter Labs through business email or Discord. As fellow filmmakers, you guys would probably have a lot to talk about. And in case you guys in the Containment Hazard Assessment team don't know, Lot 1 in the chat is Lot 1 Productions, creator of the SCP miniseries Redacted, Season 1 of which is on their YouTube channel, and Season 2 is going to be a miniseries, but a long arc regarding the children of the Scarlet King and the coming of the Scarlet King. Yikes! So if you're not familiar with Lot 1 Productions, you should go check out their mini-series. Turning to chat. Terragal, thank you for your first donation to today's stream. As well as being a member, grab yourself a taco salad on your way past the commissary. Also, Rebel Commander, grab yourself some boat drinks on your way past the commissary. Now, Terragal, Dr. Sherman, my friend told me someone put a picture of 096 in the break room, and he looked at it. I made peace with the fact that he won't make it. Well, yes, I'm glad you've made it to that point emotionally because, yeah, your friend's Kaputski. Is still pouting in the corner. Ah, yes, desk. Those walk-on roles and voice roles came in real fast. People were very excited about them. But I don't know. Maybe you'll get lucky that a consulting producer on the project might be able to help you out. I don't know. There are talks happening. So, Dr. Sherman, do we still intend to do the mesh hashtag on Twitter? SCP the movie on Saturday or earlier? Flames. Good point. Let me. It doesn't let me copy messages. Let me send them a Discord server about that, a Discord message right now. Boom. First of all, are you telling me I did not ping the Discord server about the interview because I was so haggard trying to get the interview started almost on time? Thank you all for coming, despite the fact I didn't ping you. I appreciate you greatly. Yep, I forgot last time too. Durat. Furthermore, let me do back channels. Was awesome. So good to have y'all. Flames is in my chat asking if we should do a hashtag campaign to help boost y'all to maybe get you trending. Something like hashtag SCP the movie. What do y'all think? And when would you want to try something like that? All right, Flames, I've asked them. I will let you know when I have an answer. Desk, thank you for pinging everybody since I forgot. I appreciate your help in this matter. Ah, there we are. You the man, Desk. You're the mahogany office furniture. Yes. My Wikinaut bio is already as an AI language model. I cannot generate you a bio. You think that might get me banned? I think it's sarcastic enough that it would be seen as a joke. You were 2 minutes late. Yes, I was watching you guys in the chat joke about me being late because when we pull up the preview of the dual stream, I'm in one window, Zach's in the other, and then you guys are in the chat below. So I watch you guys filing in and being like, oh, it's 3:01. Bitch ain't being punctual. Listen. Ask Desk about my ability to be punctual. I'm doing my best out here, guys. Da 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 da. Reminder, people, head over to Flames LBZ on YouTube. Flames had an interview with Zach as well, a very nice, well edited video essay plus interview. And so I found out that despite being a big account, I have been granted by YouTube the ability to give hype points. I'm not able to be hyped because I'm too large a channel, but I can give hype. And I did to Flames LBZ. So go watch, like, comment, and hype so that interview goes even further. Header Labs YouTube channel bumped 27,000 subscribers while we were interviewing. That's good for them. The Kickstarter is over 28,361, but we got to keep going. Up over 28,421 now. Very nice. While waiting on critique on my superhero tale, I decided to pitch my AI SCP concept, mostly looking for feedback, and shot only one green light out of two already. It took a month and a rework for the tale. Hey, sometimes a good idea just hits, buddy. Glad to hear you're getting some luck in there. Do 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 do. What are the SCPs in the movies? Intern Keegan. A lot of the SCPs from SCP Containment Breach the game will be making their way into the movie. That's what we've confirmed with Zach so far during the interview. So 173, 106, 049, 035. 689 was in the proof of concept, so that confirms. True God Fox, thank you for alerting me to the Ko-Fi notification. I didn't see it. True God Fox, thank you for your first donation to today's stream, and thank you for making the effort to go through the Ko-Fi, which, as we know, only takes 3% of your donation service fees, whereas YouTube takes 30% of every super chat. So we greatly appreciate you making your donation go farther. Grab yourself a iced cream sundae on your way past the commissary. Funny idea for getting around the Little Caesars branding. Make it a large Brutus pizza box. Lol, yes. Yes, definitely a large Brutus would be a hilarious flip of it. I like the way you're thinking. Also, get yourself a tamal shirt. A tamal? A tamale? Is that what you mean? Was that a typo? You deserve for being awesome as usual and for hosting these cool as hell interviews. Hey, I'm doing my best, guys. I am the SCP Foundation's #1 face character and yapper on YouTube and TikTok and the internet. So, as much as I can, I will spread the work of the SCP Wiki and its authors and artists, the filmmakers, the animators, the game devs, the podcasters, the merch makers, the cosplayers. Let's have some fun. Singular of tamale can also be tamal. I did not know that. I've only ever heard them plural. Nice. Desk, thank you for sending a donation to induce celebration to the Containment Hazard Assessment team. Dr. Sherman in a movie. When he reads, go nuts, 1 minute. The moderation has been loosened for 1 minute for celebrating being in Dr. Sherman verse of the SCP Containment Breach movie. Hilarious. I'm pretty sure Raymond Ham died after when Containment Breach is supposed to take place. It's possible, Dr. Frogman. We have been in our talks with Zach and I. Now I can reveal this. I've been filling him in on what is canon to Dr. Sherman and what isn't. That way we can utilize the character in an interesting manner. Because, of course, Dr. Sherman is very, very loose canon as composed to most of the SCP Wiki's characters, because Dr. Sherman only appears in a few articles as a light cameo. Does not have the same deep lore that a lot of the SCP Wiki characters have. All lore for Dr. Sherman is our back and forth in videos, which is a whole lot of loose cannon jumping around. So it'll be interesting codifying Dr. Sherman down to one iteration for this movie. Hey, I just got here. What's chat celebrating about? Intern Tambari. Keter Labs just announced that I will be playing Dr. Theron Sherman in SCP Containment Breach the movie. Which means we need to get it funded so we can make the movie so I can be in the movie. So, let's keep sharing. Let's keep funding. Audio sync is being a very rude, internet. Very rude. Has anyone read the tale where a movie of the SCP Foundation was made as a cover-up and all the staff hated the guy that made it? Samuel L. Jackson played Clef, if I recall. I'm tired of these motherfucking tight greens in my motherfucking containment site. I just yelled in my own voice. I did not try to do a Samuel L. Jackson voice because I cannot do justice to that mighty roar. Man, I can't believe Containment reached a movie can't have a Sherman X049 moment. You see, when you write it like that, it just makes it fan fiction-y. Not making out with that bird brain. Hashtag annoyed and asexual. Also, we because there is no canon, we don't know exactly what time period Containment Breach the movie will be taking place. And so that does mean that we don't know if it will be before or after the Dr. Raymond Ham incident. We will have to find out. Dr. Sherman, August knows me say I had to finish my animation for Keller Labs and told me to hit them up on Discord. Now I can't back out of making this animation lol. I forgot there is their Discord 18 plus. They have not decided if they are going to make their Discord 18 plus yet, because they may or may not be allowing adult content in their Discord server, which would mean they could have it open to below 18. But they will be joining the Site 42 Discord server, so either way you will be able to uh you can't join our Discord server, so that would be the way to do it. Probably I can connect you to August one way or another. Site 42 staff, we have 18 minutes left on the general Q&A. My question for you is the lag and the sound sync bad enough that we should just call it early? Or can you survive the lag and the audio sync at this point? I really wish that YouTube can get together on this. We went a whole year without this issue, and it's only been a couple weeks ago now. It's fine for me. Okay, a couple people are fine, so there we go. Harakel, thank you for your first donation to today's stream as well as being a member. Grab yourself some Mentos, the fresh maker, on your way past the commissary. Our staff/anomalies allowed to take bets on the number of D-class that will end the movie. Asking for 682, not myself. Listen, if you've seen the movie Cabin in the Woods, you know that at the Foundation, we do not have a problem with betting on the outcomes of D-Class. It's just one of the ways we use dark humor to cope with the terrifying situations we end up in. So, of course, you can bet on how many D-Class will bite it in Containment Breach the movie. I just wish it would be a merman for once. Sherman, I have a question. Will SCP-999 be in the Keter Labs? If you know, if not, I have another question. What if hypothetically I accidentally put SCP-999 and SCP-002? Well, if you put SCP-999 and SCP-002, then it would probably perish and therefore can't be in the movie. So I do hope you didn't do so, because Zach did say 999 was a good possibility, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly. I may or may not have made a disease/virus that can kill you mentally and physically, lol. Intern Ellswick, we've seen your experimentation, and it was not approved budgetarily, so we have incinerated all of these samples in your office, even the ones from different experiments. Please do not work off the books again. You know the SCP Foundation is a place where we enjoy following protocols. I was not expecting August to notice me mention my animation for the Lamau. Can't let Sherman or Kettler down. I'll make this animation. I'll make it good. Froy, trust me. When you get to a certain... When people make fan art of your works, that is like crack to any creator. That is a huge thing. August and Zach are probably giddy that you're doing it. Dr. Sherman, what are some of the songs you keep humming? I know one of them is themed for Gravity Songs, but nothing else. Well, the opening song is always the Gravity Falls theme song. Sometimes I hum whatever Slowgramming song is playing in the background for ambiance. So, breaking news: Kyle Busch just died. Uh, Intern Tambari, by name, I don't know that person. Is this some sort of celebrity of some sort? NASCAR champion, I see. Well, for the NASCAR fans in the audience, I'm sorry for your loss. Age 41. Ouch. That is not well. Very unfortunate. Gravity Falls had major SCP vibes. Goated show, I really miss it. Same bored as hell, but at the very least, at least Alex Hirsch got to make his project fully. What I really miss is Inside Job, which was, oh, what's her name? Takeuchi. She was a producer on Gravity Falls, and she essentially made SCP Gravity Falls, and it's on Netflix. And it's so good, and they canceled it. The bastards. Inside Job. Shion Takeuchi. Absolute bastards, Netflix. That's why I don't even want you to have an SCP movie. I don't trust you. Fun fact, SCP-9404 was in Gravity Falls? The hell you mean? SCP-9404 is the designation for, okay, the cryptozoology. Anomalous predatory animals from North American folklore, simply referred to as hide-behinds. Okay, wow, I haven't heard of a hide-behind in a while. I can't believe it took for us to get to SCP-9000 series before we had hide-behinds. Interesting. Is Charlie back? Ah, Desk. Okay, so you showed up a little late to the stream. That's right. So you missed the puppy of interest, who is now back from the field training exercises. Charlie, do I have to hum? Baby girl. She's a napper. She's a napper. Yep. Puppy of Interest 42 is back from her Sweetie Pumpkin training exercises. Very good, very sleepy baby. Big yawn and kisses. Mwah. The sweetest pumpkin in Site 42 history. Site 42 staff, 10 minutes left in today's stream. 10 minutes left, so get your last minute questions in. Mm-hmm. 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 Too late, I'm infected. Oops. Well, this is the tragedy of working with making anomalous, virulent diseases. So, sorry for your loss. Hello, Sumerian. Good to see you in the chat, buddy. How you doing? Dr. Sherman, why is Dr. Clef dating SCP-173? My friend told me did that. In turn, Swirly, it is true in Tail Date Night that Dr. Alto Clef has a recurring date night with SCP-173. Although it seems to be more on a prank and screwing with the D-Class than an actual romantic and or sexual relationship with the statue. Alto Clef is always going to be trolling. I'm so glad I made a Containment Breach movie edit. Intern Sprite, if you can Discord message that to me or desk, then I can show that on stream. I am that I am. I managed to finally clean Shaw out of all my articles and tales earlier today, so all right, I think. Oh, bravo. Did you switch to Cairns, or did you just swap out all of your, what's the phrase, characters with a completely different character? Did you manage to get someone who is not immortal? Meanwhile, Sam, I'm doing well. We just had an hour-long interview, hour 20 minutes, with the director of that Keter Labs SCP Containment Breach the movie. And so the chat is in pretty high spirits. Hopefully soon we will have a feature film in theaters for SCP to rival The Backrooms and Iron Lung and all the other YouTubes and creepypastas that are getting movies. Oh yeah, I still need to look into that. Well, I can give you some intel as needed, or you can watch what we talked about earlier in this VOD. Although it's about an hour and 20, so you might want to double speed it or something. How long did it take you to perfect pen spinning? I practiced it for probably a couple of weeks and just incessantly put it back and forth between both fingers until it stuck and became something to naturally do while I'm not paying attention. I mean, the nice thing is if you have a pen, it's just something you can do to practice. This is really weird right now for me, pre-recorded. Intern, no username. No, we're just having some technical difficulties. But since there's only 7 minutes left in the stream, we're just gonna roll with it because we're ending stream soon. Oh yeah, I did do an interview with Keter Labs if you need something to watch to learn more, Sumerian. Yes, Flames LBZ does have a YouTube video regarding SCP Containment Breach the movie with another interview with Zach, the director of Keter Labs. So you can look at that as well. As for Shaw, I did a few edits, but a few of the tales needed full rewrites. Some work better than others. I did a straight word replace a while back to make it Shaw, but these were the ones left. Ah, I see. So, just going back to check. So what did you replace Shaw with, may I ask, Sim? Dr. Sherman, I'm a cadet. I cannot post it on the Site 42 Discord. However, I posted on YouTube and added Site 42. I should be able to get a notification for that. Now, Alki, you're asking what's wrong with Shaw. And there's a lot of people who think Shaw is a little too close to, well, Dr. Bright. Remember, we don't talk about Bruno. Try to avoid the subject more than that. But there are a lot of people who think Shaw is just too close for comfort. And so, on the same voice, we have the problem where Keter Labs used Shaw, but they still used the amulet because they didn't know the difference. And so we've cured them of that mistake, thankfully. Alki, you're fine asking about Shaw, especially since Sumerian is talking about removing it. This is inter-community news that is good for fans to know. Ella Sprite, I'm not getting a notification of your tag. Can you, I mean, it might just be because I'm a big enough channel, it's confusing. So, Ella Sprite, can you give me your YouTube handle? It's Ella Sprite. Of course it is. What am I saying? But before I look for that. Oh, so some I changed it to Sumerian for an immortal character, some Kadraki, and a handful of Clef. I gotcha. Very nice. I've always said that for that Bugs Bunny kind of misanthropic character, Clef is a fine swap for Bruno, as long as it's not the immortality thing. And so using yourself for the immortality, that's a good move. And Kondraki is also that kind of misanthrope. All right. Ella underscore Sprite. That is the correct handle. Videos. All right. Let's see how this terrible lag we've been having today deals with watching a video. Not bad for a short clip. Not bad for a short clip. All right, returning to ambiance. Woot woot. Bam. Return to chat. And when you need Bright and Clef on the same page, you can use Kondraki. Yeah. Exactamente. So, good work. I'm glad you got that figured. You have so many fucking stories, Sim. How many stories do you have on the database now? I know you're over 200. Have you got like 250 yet? Going to 300 yet? That is a journey of adventure for you. So, kudos on getting the job done. Potential Little Caesar sponsor, very dubious Aquafina sponsorship. Oh no! Oh no! SCP Containment breached the movie with an Aquafina sponsorship. Oh, I need to pitch that to them. That'd be so funny. Terrible. I love it. Good thing about it is that is a joke that you can put in the background and it doesn't interrupt the flow of the movie. We don't have to mention it. It just has to be there in the background. And so it can still be a horror movie, but real ones know. I don't get it. Intern Nulono. There is a canon on the SCP database called Ship in a Bottle. And if you are over the age of 18, I recommend reading it for funsies if you like a laugh. But adult content, so be warned. Only 148 pages according to the bot. When the whole thing happened, I was the second most common author of Bright Stories, 22 or so, I think. Only person with more was the author. Oh boy, oh boy. Oh, bouncing around the back channels. Oh, geez, desk. I have family and Coca-Cola business. We can get a connection for that Aquafina. That would be so funny. That would be so funny. Intern Tambari, Liquid Death, while a viable water company that I'm not sponsored by, it wouldn't hit the same as Aquafina if you read the Ship in a Bottle canon. Trust me. In fact, because Liquid Death only used hands for recycling purposes, that's more of a oh god, oh fuck scenario. Crossing my legs in terror. But anyway, Site42 staff, we are now at the end of today's stream. And as I do at the end of every stream, I tell you guys my favorite SCPs. Of course, I'm not going to tell you that my favorite SCPs are the ones I wrote. That would be cheating. But if you want to read the SCPs I wrote, you can go to the Sherm's author page in Site42 Hub on the SCP database. Now, while you're on my author page, you'll be able to see the SCPs I wrote or contributed voice lines or sound effects to. I did voice lines for a Sumerian skip in the past. What is that, SCP 32-something-8, I believe? And I got to go to my own author page because now I'm curious. Articles 3208. Yes. And so if you want to hear my voice reading SCP-3208 segments for Dr. Sumerian, you can go to my author page. And while you're there, beside my authorship, one tab over, there's a list of links. Links that a lot of people ask about in the chat, but then they do not at all go look for the links, which is very sad because I tell them the links are there, and then they just don't listen. But not you guys. In the chat, you guys listen. You guys will find those links, and when you do, you'll be able to become a Patreon patron or YouTube channel member of Site42 to donate to us monthly. You can do a Ko-Fi or a YouTube Super Chat to donate to us one at a time. Either way, when you do so, we greatly appreciate your generosity in helping to keep the lights on for myself, Desk, our editor, Synthetic Alien, the rest of the Site42 staff, as well as to keep us doing this every damn day so we can bring you more community news, memes, jokes, and stories from the SCP community. Thank you for your generosity intensely. Also, if you're part of the Bro Gang and you absolutely can't donate, feel free to be a member of Mobile Task Force I-42 Code and Signal Boosters. Donate your time and effort. Will you like, share, subscribe, comment, chat, make memes and clips and edits of our work? You help not only to spread us, but the SCP projects we support, the SCP Wiki and its authors and artists, the animators, game devs, filmmakers, merch makers, podcasters. The more we work together as a community, the more bigger and better projects we have. Remember, a lot of people have this feeling that, oh man, if it's not perfect, I don't want to support it. We need to get used to supporting bad art, because bad art is what artists make when they're practicing to make good art. So if we can get an SCP film in theaters, even if it's not a 10 out of 10 film, the next one will be better. And the next one will be better. So if we keep pushing this envelope, well, it's going to get in the mail, and it's going to get mailed to Hollywood, and those directors are going to open it, and they're going to make some good movies, way better movies than this strained metaphor. And so we greatly thank you, Mobile Task Force Site-42, codename Signal Boosters, for your service. And now, without further ado, my favorite SCPs in no particular order are SCP-3999, SCP-3043, SCP-008-J, SCP-Spooky-J, SCP-5031, SCP-5175, SCP-5320, and SCP-8980. Content warning on that last one. It is a bit of a rough read. Speed round. 3999-3043-008-J, Spooky-J, 5031, 5175, Internet, cut it one last one. It's a rough read. So, Site-42 staff, that is an anomalous broadcast from Site-42 and an interview with the director of Keter Labs, Zach. I hope you learned a lot about the upcoming SCP Containment Breach movie. I hope you will help us with the Mobile Task Force Site-42 duties, codename Signal Boosters, and spreading it far and wide so we can have SCP movies in theaters alongside all these other great internet horrors that are making it to the theaters these days. End of the day, though, the most important thing is I hope you had fun. I hope you learned something. Be safe, be well, and as always, secure, contain, protect. I'll see you in the next video or stream. Two can play this game. We both want power. In winter, we can taste the pain. In our short years, we come a long way to treat it bad and throw away. In our short years, we come a long way to treat it bad and throw away. And I want you to be free. Don't worry about me. And just like the movies, we play out our last scene. You won't cry, I won't scream. The credit song is Movies by Alien Ant Farm. Be safe, be well, Site-42 staff, and as always, secure, contain, protect. I'll see you at the next video or stream.